What's up, everybody? My name's Devin. I am going to be reading the news. It's my third time doing it, so it's still not very fun. But it's Saturday morning, October 15th, and I like reading the news anyway, so I might as well do it on YouTube. So let's get started. And I'm just at Google News, and it's only been 17 seconds, so I doubt anybody's going to be here. You know, not getting a lot of traffic for these videos, not gonna lie. I need to find a title that kind of more directs traffic to the content, but I'm still not very good at doing this, so here we go. Reading the news, or should I wait for people to come, or should I just go? Well, anyway, it's the weekend. Gotta love the weekend. Alright, here we go. I'm just gonna get started. 5 things. Alright, let me minimize this. 5 things to know about Donald Trump's controversial Obamacare decision. Well, you know, if they broke it down into 5 bullet points, that makes it a lot easier to understand. So let's read this. 153 shares. That's not many. And now I've also learned to just give it a second. Oh, Metro Mile. Don't drive. Oh, no, that's an ad. You know what? They got me.
I realize that
it's these ads. Oh my gosh.
Not exactly...
See, so I can't start the article until the ad is done or it's paused. Alright. The Trump administration's decision to end payments to insurers meant to help low-income people afford their insurance, to help low-income... Alright, it's early. I'm going to start over. The Trump administration's decision to end payments to insurers meant to help low-income people afford their insurance has set off a battle in the courts and new fears about possible collapse of the former President Obama's health care law. Ending the payments is the most dramatic step taken to date by President Trump, who has been frustrated with the GOP inability to repeal the law. Trump has talked about allowing Obamacare to implode, and his critics believed he is pushing that along with his actions. Here's what ending the payments means for both of us. Ending the payments won't kill Obamacare. And that I think we know. I've talked about this 3 times now. Obamacare payment won't kill Obamacare. Trump's move wasn't a complete surprise, and while it will cut into the law, it won't kill it off. Many states and insurers had been preparing for Trump to take this step, and they will be spared from the brunt of the impact. Still, challenges for the exchanges are coming. This has to do with the exchanges, like state-to-state insurance or not state-to-state insurance. I mean, can you go to if you live in California, can you go to the cheapest possible plan for you? Because if you're 25 years old and you're a young kid and you're healthy, you don't really need health insurance, so you're just gonna go get the cheapest one possible. And I think that's kind of the problem. I think the problem with Obamacare is the young people, and 25-year-old healthy people have just no reason to. I mean, I guess you got to have health insurance just in case something bad happens, but those are the people they need on board. I've talked about this numerous times. It's going to take them a little while to break down Obamacare. It's never going to be complete. Trump is incompetent, it seems, as somebody that governs the country. So I can't imagine him getting very far. We're going to move on to the next article. Joshua Boyle says Taliban-linked captors raped Katlyn Coleman, killed infant daughter. Man, this is just a bad story. I don't know what's going on with these guys. The guy looks like a bit like a Muslim guy with his beard. And here we go. Taliban captors who held American Katlyn Coleman and her family for 5 years killed an infant daughter and allowed Coleman to be raped by a guard. Her husband told reporters in Canada late Friday. Joshua Boyle's revelation, which authorities have not confirmed, added another layer to the story, with nearly as many questions as answers. After the couple and their 3 children were rescued Wednesday when their Haqqani network captors took them across the Afghan border into Pakistan. Reading from the statement after the family arrived at Toronto, Boyle, the Canadian citizen, made his allegation with a mostly calm voice, declining to elaborate. The stupidity and the evil of the Haqqani network in the kidnapping of a pilgrim was eclipsed by the stupidity and evil of authorizing the murder of my infant daughter. This is a very sad story. I'm glad that they're safe. Why did they go over there? I think that a lot of times these religious people, I mean, he said he's on a pilgrimage. Religious people can be quite stupid. And I'm pretty sure that's what happened here. If you think you're protected by God and you're going to go on a pilgrimage and he's watching over your shoulder, it turns out the Taliban exists. So, okay, here we go. Going to move on to the next article. In California, fires so fast hesitation proved lethal. We saw that yesterday. Which was worse for Puerto Rico, Maria or the Donald? Or what? There we go. Let's just read this. They got me. Which was worse for Puerto? These ads. But that is a pretty funny picture where if you take a look, it's only his face that has light or has color. I've never actually seen anybody do that before. That's pretty good. It's only him with color. Alright, so let's hope there's not an ad. This is at the Daily Beast. Maria did the initial damage, but the aftermath is telling us a lot more about our president and ourselves. As Hurricane Irma bore down on my Florida home, just before it broke away at the last second, I sat in a shuttered semi-darkness, listening to the wind gradually spooling up to the monolith from 2001 howl, asking myself what I was doing. What the hell that... Okay, I'm going to have to reread that. I'm sorry. I didn't get that paragraph at all. This guy, Jeb Lund, trying to be a writer. It's like, dude, just write the article. As Hurricane Irma bore down on my Florida home, just before it broke away at the last second, I sat in the shuttered semi-darkness, listening to the wind gradually spooling up to the monolith from 2001 howl. Asking myself, what am I doing? This state is a 450-mile-long limestone mistake, barely set above two giant bodies of water. As it is a strip of grassy muck and bugs meant to be kicked. Okay, I'm not reading this article. You're an asshole. Jeb Lund. You're not giving me any information. You're just trying to be a good writer. Nobody cares. Somalia, at least 30 dead in Mogadishu blast. Man, Somalia just always has problems. What's so crazy is there's so many resources all over Africa. I wonder if this is terrorism or political terrorism or maybe just an industrial accident. Who knows? It's not good, though. A massive bomb attack in a busy area of the Somali capital, Mogadishu, has killed at least 30 people, police say. Dozens more were wounded when a lorry packed with explosives detonated near the entrance of a hotel. Police say 2 people were killed in a second bomb attack in the Medina district of the city. And I just got a text message that, here we go, what's going on here? What? Oh, I guess there's an oyster festival in downtown Los Angeles tonight. And they're taking the metro. Los Angeles now has trains. So that's good. Usually we just drive around everywhere, but, you know, it's 2017. They're like, let's build these guys some trains so we don't have so much traffic and smog. And we're like, yeah, good idea. Okay, so back to this explosion. It is not clear who staged the attacks. Mogadishu, I kind of like saying Mogadishu. Mogadishu is a regular target for the Al-Qaeda-linked Al-Shabaab group, which is battling the government. After the first blast, police captain Mohammed Hussein told Reuters news agency, quote, "It was a truck bomb. There are casualties, but we don't know the exact amount of... There are casualties, but we do not know the exact amount as the scene is still burning." So, yeah, this is one of those situations where Al-Shabaab, to me, they're not motivated by the religion and their ideas, kind of like other terrorists are. They just want the land. They're kind of like an army, and they seem to do a lot of the same tactics as jihadi terrorists. But to me, they're just a little bit different. You could get any kind of dogmatic thing to believe in, and they would probably rally around that. But they chose Islam, and yeah, to me, this isn't quite the same as jihadi terrorism. These people want power. Anyway, going to a new article. I don't know if I made sense on that one. It's a little bit early. Maybe I should be doing this later when my brain's working. Corker hits Trump for his castration of Secretary of State Tillerson. Man, this guy Corker really giving Trump problems. Corker hits Trump for his castration of Secretary of State Tillerson. See, now this is the type of article that you know, well, actually, Trump doesn't read, but you know that on Fox News, this is almost written. Man, I'm getting tons of updates. All right, so Corker, that was a tweet. Corker hits Trump for his castration of Secretary of State Tillerson. Why is Corker all over Trump? And does Trump have any allies? Here we go. Tennessee Republican Senator Bob Corker, who has been trading barbs with the president on Twitter, so it doesn't really count, is now hitting the president for his, quote, castration of Rex Tillerson. The Tennessee Republican told the Washington Post that it's a, quote, castration of Tillerson that I am most exercised about. Corker said Trump undermined Tillerson's diplomatic efforts with repeated public statements denigrating the Secretary of State. The chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee said such comments will lead to a situation where Trump will only have a binary choice of war or North Korea, or Iran that can threaten the United States with nuclear options. I don't see how I like the word binary choice, and just binary in general is a word that's kind of popping up in the zeitgeist a little bit more, and it's true. Simple-minded people less intellectually sophisticated have a tendency to think more binary. It's kind of like you either build a wall or not, or you either build a wall or you let everybody in, and those are two choices on immigration. But no, in reality, it's somewhere in the middle of those two. We all realize that we need immigration, but the question is, how many people do we let in? Who do we let in? And when? That's a tough choice. Yes or no, binary, it kills the conversation. So I guess that's what he's saying. Quote, you cannot publicly castrate your own Secretary of State without giving yourself that binary choice. Trump last week told reporters he wished Tillerson would be tougher. Trump, who gives a crap? Tillerson is trying his best to represent American interests abroad, but, I mean, it's still too early to know if he's doing a good job or not. I'm not totally sure. I know that he's at least trying, and I know that he doesn't like Trump. And, I mean, how could you? Fox News, get out of here. Fact-checking the president's speech on the Iran deal. This is from the Washington Post 2 hours ago. Trump says, you know, we're just gonna have to wait for this ad to pop up so it doesn't interrupt me talking. But yeah, this Iran nuclear agreement, we went all these years without having one, and now we have some form of a deal, so it's at least better than it was, say, 5 years ago. And Trump is just bluffing. He's a bluffer. He's saying he's gonna get rid of it without actually getting rid of it. He's just doing whatever it takes to make a headline, and then he's gonna do nothing. Oh wow, no advertisement. Nice job, Washington Post. In his speech on the Iran nuclear agreement, known formally as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, President Trump made a number of factual assertions. The deal was negotiated by Iran, the five permanent members of the UN Security Council: the United States, Russia, United Kingdom, France, and China, Germany, and the European Union. That UN Security Council, that it doesn't do shit. If somebody can tell me when they've actually accomplished something, I'd love to hear about it. Make sure you let me know in the comments. Here's a guide to some of his rhetoric, but that's exactly what it is. Rhetoric in the order in which he made these statements. The regime has harbored high-level terrorists in the wake of the 9/11 attacks, including Osama bin Laden's son. The president recounted a long list of aggressive acts by the Iranian government toward the United States since the Shah was overthrown in 1979, many of which would be familiar to the Americans. This claim that the Iran harbored al-Qaeda terror suspects might be well less known, but it is recently documented in the 2017 book, The Exile, by Kathy Scott Clark and Adrian Levy. Hold on a second. The book noted that a steady flow of senior al-Qaeda figures into Iran after the September 11 attacks was controversial among various factions. The government actually made some arrests and sent some al-Qaeda figures back to the countries of origin, but the Revolutionary Guard was more supportive, Trump using the frame regime to gloss over the debate within the country. So let's say that you are a political Islam guy, or you're a jihadi and you're living in Pakistan or Afghanistan, and all of a sudden we go to war in Afghanistan. You are now taking a hornet's nest and you're shaking it up. And there's no doubt that if you're traveling from like Pakistan to Iraq, or to the Middle East, or to Palestine, or wherever these jihadis want to go, you have to go through Iran. So my guess is that a lot of these guys went through Iran, but Iran doesn't support the Wahhabism type of terrorism as, let's say, other countries do, maybe like Pakistan. Okay. The regime remains the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism. It provides assistance to Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, Hezbollah, Hamas, and other terrorist networks. That is totally true, and they also have large interest in Iraq now, because basically they just took the bottom half of Iraq. That one was our fault for going in there and taking out Saddam. And that one was our fault. But Iraq now controls the bottom half of Iraq. The previous administration lifted these sanctions just before what would have been a total collapse of the Iranian regime, although deeply controversial. No, they're going to keep on going. If North Korea hasn't collapsed yet, Iran isn't going to collapse. Enough with this. Trump says he spoke to the U.S. Virgin Islands president, which is him. Oh, are they U.S. Virgin Islands? So are they in the same category as Puerto Rico? I'm not sure. Because if Puerto Rico is not getting help, the Virgin Islands aren't getting help. Here we go. Donald Trump accidentally referred to the U.S. Virgin Islands governor as their president during a speech Friday, even though he is technically their president. Oh, so the Virgin Islands are kind of like, are they like the 52nd state? Quote, I will tell you, I left Texas and I left Florida and I left Louisiana and I left Puerto Rico and I met with the president of the Virgin Islands. He told the audience, we are one nation and we all hurt together. We hope we will heal together. The Virgin Islands and the president of the Virgin Islands, these are the people. So anyway, he's wrong about the details of the Virgin Islands, and that's not surprising. He's a 72-year-old man. He doesn't have any idea what he's doing. Trump appeared to be referring to the Virgin Islands Kenneth Mapp instead of the president, who is himself. Oh, the U.S. Virgin Islands is the Virgin Islands is a U.S. territory. The White House did not immediately respond to CNN's request for comment. His reference to Mapp as president was corrected to governor. He was referring to how the U.S. Virgin Islands was hit first by Hurricane Irma, then Hurricane Maria, which ravaged the island. Anyway, Trump was wrong about the details. That's something that we're pretty used to by now. The missile testing site in North Korea doubles as a beachside resort. Here we go. The missile testing site in North Korea doubles as a beachside resort. Now that looks like a lot of fun. I want to go to the beach. It's Saturday morning. If I wanted to, I could go to the beach. I want to go to the beach. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's government has been building the coastal city of Wonsan into a beachside resort town, according to reports from Reuters. Wonsan occupies a special place in North Korean politics, acting as both a luxury getaway for elites and testing grounds for missile sites, artillery, and other military tests. But Kim has an ambitious vision for the city. He hopes to redevelop it into a tourist destination that will generate billions of dollars, and hopes to do so by attracting foreign corporate investment. Here are 12 photos that will capture the surreal nature of the Wonsan project. Wonsan is a city along the east coast where North Korean officials announced. Oh, that looks very pretty. Oh man, those are some pretty sweet. That is a good photo. Those some pretty good. You know, they took a little bit of weight off of both these leaders. But those are good-looking statues. You know what? Everybody likes the beach. No matter where you're at, kids love the beach. There's nothing but kids at that beach. And it looks like they're having a good time. Oh, wow, that's, I wonder what they're listening to. It's probably, pretty terrible. But that's a nice-looking, auditorium, or not auditorium, it's an outdoor stadium. It's an outdoor amphitheater. Looks a little bit like the Hollywood Bowl a little bit. Here we go. Skiing. Kids love skiing also. You know what, you're probably going to have, like, a lot of those, like, single kids out on the mountain that no parents around, wearing a helmet, and they are just bombing the mountain doing the snowplow thing. And they're leaning back, and they're just going as fast as possible. Those kids are everywhere. And it looks like looks like there's tons of them here. You know what? Is that a white guy? Is that a couple white kids? Oh, Russian children playing together at the beach at the children's camp in Wonsan. All right, so it looks like the Russians and the North Koreans get along, which is so funny. How it's our problem to deal with North Korea, but you know the Russians. I think we're getting owned by the Russians right now, to tell you the truth. Everybody has a vested interest in North Korea not going crazy and blowing up South Korea or Japan. Everyone has a vested interest. But it should be Russia that does the most. So I think we're getting owned by Russia. Let's take a look at more photos. Oh, wow. That's a sweet. Children's Camp includes an aquarium, which Kim visited in 2014. Now, that's a pretty sweet fish tank. You know, you got to give them credit where credit's due. They were able to build an intercontinental missile on their own. That is an achievement. Wonsan beaches serve as another purpose as staging grounds for military target practice and missile testing. Well, they should keep the kids on another beach. I can't. There's probably a lot of spent shell casings. It probably gets pretty toxic pretty quick. If this is how they're using their beach, they should back that up a little bit. Why put everything directly on the sand? Oh, wow. And it's not just the beaches. This island near Wonsan is used for target practice. You know what? It'd be nice if you can just shoot an island. It looks like fun. And look at all these bullets hitting the water there. What is this? But North Korea's priorities are changing, and Kim's plans for Wonsan clearly reflect this. The city says it hopes to add futuristic high-rises, huge department store, and luxury golf course in the area. I'm down for a golf course. Okay, we got an indoor water park, aquarium, Wonsan hotel. You know what? We should just let them build and do what they want to do, and just cut back on the missiles and the nuclear weapons. But they have no incentive to blow anybody up or to fire a missile at America. That's suicide. They have no reason to do that. But they have every reason to say they're going to do it. So this North Korean thing is just a big distraction while Trump takes everyone's money behind the scenes and just pulls major shenanigans. But even Obama used to use North Korea as a distraction. North Korean officials are eager to apply for their newfound appetite for business toward the development of tourist infrastructure. All right, so they got Oreos. And, you know, something makes me think North Korean Oreos don't taste as good. Oh, look at this guy. But Wonsan's redevelopment still has no foreign backing, and the tourism industry is long from any... Okay, so they got to flip the bill by themselves on this one. That sucks. I'm sure they would love to have some partners, because I'm sure some business partners would know how to build buildings better or know how to do this stuff better and cheaper. So maybe they got to just get the project started and then show everybody, look at what we're doing. This is going to be awesome. We're going to make a little bit of money. You guys got to get in on this. So who knows why? They're probably going to get some partners. All right, end of the article. Here we go. Cargo plane crash off the Ivory Coast kills 4 Moldovans. U.S. 5 arrested in 1983 racially motivated murder of 23-year-old Mac. Oh man, I always like to hear these stories where these people get in trouble like decades later. You know what? This looks like a group of white supremacists. What a lovely group we have here. Five people in Georgia have been arrested in connection with a, quote, racially motivated murder that occurred more than 30 years ago. Well, I don't know if they had hate crime laws back then. The victim, Timothy Coggins, was found dead in Sunnyside, Georgia, October 3rd, 1983. So before I was even born, the county sheriff's office said in a press conference, Coggins' body was found near the power lines and was brutally murdered and abandoned. Coggins died as a result of multiple forms of trauma, so he got beaten to death is what it sounds like. After his death, investigators began conducting interviews and gathering evidence in their search for Coggins' killer, but the search went cold until March of this year when the new evidence came to light, causing the Sheriff's Office and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation to re-examine the case. Let's take a look. Many of the witnesses stated that they had been living with this information since Coggins' death, but afraid to come forward. On Friday, more than 30 years after Coggins was killed, authorities arrested 5 people in connection with the murder. 2 of the 5 suspects face murder charges. I wonder what happened, though. The Griffin Judicial has charged Frank Gebhardt and Bill Moore with murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, aggravated battery, and concealing the death of another. Sandra, Lamar, and Gregory were charged with obstruction. Sandra Bunn and Lamar Bunn, who worked for the Milner Police Department, are mother and son. Man, so we got 2 cops involved on this? Coggins' family thanked the authorities for reopening the investigation into his murder. Quote, we all know that we know that there's been tireless nights. We know that you guys have put in so many hours making sure that these people were brought to justice. Coggins' niece, Heather Coggins, said, the only unfortunate part is that this is our grandparents, Timothy Coggins' parents. They're not able to see it today. The only unfortunate part is that our grandparents can't see this today. Well, that's just kind of sad. I can't imagine losing a child. All of the suspects who were arrested in connection with Coggins' death are white, based on the original evidence recovered in 1983 and new evidence interviews. There is no doubt in the minds that this was racially motivated, and if the crime happened today, it would be prosecuted as a hate crime. The suspects are being processed. They're still. I wonder why they did it. I mean, this grandfather found his $24 million lottery ticket just before it expired. We saw that yesterday. We didn't read it. Still a good story, but we don't have to read it. Remains found in Arizona likely belong to kindergarten teacher who went missing after bailing out boyfriend. All right, here we go. Oh, I gotta stop doing this. Hey, what's up, guys? All right, anyway, thanks for watching. I don't know if anybody is watching. I've been going for 27 minutes. That's pretty good. I'll see you guys tomorrow.